Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, and it is Friday, October 1st, 2021. I apologize for being a half hour late from scheduled time. Frankly, I had taken a nap and my cat didn't let me up. I had the alarm set, but I thought, but apparently I didn't. My cat was on top of me. So what I finally realized what time was. Got on here as fast as I could. So I hope your week has been good to you. Welcome to Booktober. That means I'm going to do a book review once a day, every day for the month of October. We're going to cover graphic novels, regular novels, art books, other types of things as well. It'll all be books, though. Some people have asked, why am I not doing Inktober, where you do sketching every day? I had thought about it, but I'm so far behind on reviews and other things that I just didn't have time to do all of it, so I decided to do the books reviews instead. Apologies if that disappoints you. So let's get to it. This is day one of Booktober, and our book today is Vigilante. Let me go ahead and do something real quick here. It won't let me do it. I'm lovely of them. There it is. That's what I wanted. Okay. I'm lovely of them. There it is. That's what I wanted. Okay. I'm lovely of them. There it is. That's what I wanted. Okay. I'm lovely of them. There it is. That's what I wanted. Okay. I'm lovely of them. There it is. That's what I wanted. Okay. I'm lovely of them. There it is. That's what I wanted. Okay. I'm lovely of them. There it is. That's what I wanted. Okay. I'm lovely of them. There it is. That's what I wanted. Okay. I'm lovely of them. I'm not sure exactly what just happened there. I had that weird echo effect. Hopefully, I've corrected that. Anyway, on our first book for the month is Vigilante Volume 1, tree paperback for $29.99. Publishers DC Comics. The writer is Marv Wolfman. Featuring artists George Perez, Keith Pollard, Don Newton, Chuck Patton, and Ross Andrew as pencilers, with inkers Pablo Marcos, Dick Giordano, Romeo Tangal, Mike DiCarlo, Tony Atkins, and Rick Magyar. Colors by Adrian Roy, Anthony Tollin, Tom Zuico, and Tatiana Wood. The genre is superhero action adventure, and this trade collection was released in 2017, but the original stories were released in 1983. Keeping it short, the book is about Adrian Chase, a New York City district attorney who learns to dispense justice his own way as the anti-hero vigilante after his wife Doris Chase and their children are killed by lobsters. Now that sounds very familiar to Marvel's Punisher. I'm well aware of that, but unlike Marvel's Punisher, he typically uses non-lethal weaponry and is psychologically conflicted about his role as the Vigilante. Basically, when he might say he's conflicted about his role, he kind of knows what he's doing is wrong, but he's also very frustrated as a DA that keeps losing in court because of the machinations of the law and people manipulating the law to serve their needs rather than serving justice. What I thought about this book, I had never read the original Vigilante series when it came out. Truth be told, it came out at a time where I was between my childhood reading of comics and starting to collect comics again. From like 82 to 85, I really wasn't reading comics that much. And so it fell into that area that I just wasn't reading comics. Now, having read the trade, I can certainly see why many critics of the character called it Punisher Light. But at the same time, I do think that Marv Wolfman and company do a variety of stories with Chase that couldn't be done with Frank Castle in the same way. For one thing, I'm not sure if Frank Castle as the Punisher would have approved of the woman blackmailing her criminal husband, even if it was to get the custody of her child and get him away from the mob lifestyle and that sort of thing. And given how Frank Castle tends to kill first and ask questions later, a much different outcome could have happened or would have happened. There's another story where Chase goes after a person who is declared innocent of having raped and killed a nun, and he's beaten the crud out of the guy who allegedly had beaten up the nun, only to find out that the guy legitimately was innocent. Frank Castle would just kill him, and then afterwards to find he screwed up. So it's a little bit different in that regard. So I think Chase is more faced with the gray area that he has to reconcile justice with vengeance and justice with the law in his own sense, both personally and within the confines of the law. Again, the next couple of stories after the first issue are exemplary of what Wolfman tries to do with the character. Like I say, he tracks down and beats up someone who he believes is guilty of raping and killing a nun. But it turns out that another person was guilty of the crime, which is why he was found innocent in the end, because people would come forward with proof of the other person's guilt. Of course, that person who did the actual raping and killing got to flee the country and didn't get to face justice anyway because they were a foreigner with diplomatic immunity. But nevertheless, Chase is wrong to do what he does. So he's ashamed of himself and his actions, and because of that, he nearly quits the identity of the vigilante altogether. Now, I like the nuance that Wolfman is going for in this book. Not only is he deliberately trying to separate the character from the Punisher character over at Marvel, but he's making this character and his adventures more complex than what the Punisher stories tended to be. Keep in mind, this was written in 83, which means that series predates the Punisher miniseries by Stephen Grant and Mike Zeck by 3 years, let alone the regular ongoing Punisher miniseries that became in the mid-80s. So we were pretty limited to the scope of what Punisher was at that time when this was originally coming out, where he was largely a guest star and had only had main features in the Marvel Preview magazine book up to that point in time. But, in a way, people were saying that Vigilante was a knockoff of Punisher. I think Punisher's popularity and success almost, I'm not sure Punisher would have gotten his own series if not for the success of this series. yeah, as a counterpoint. It's pretty interesting when you look at it historically. Now, I'm not going to break down each and every single story in the book. There are the first 11 issues of the series collected along with the character's first appearance from Teen Titans Annual number 2. And while I suspect you probably could track down these issues in single issues in the dollar bins, the price tag of $29.99 for the equivalent of 13 issues of story, 11 regular issues, plus one double-sized story for the annual, is really a fairly reasonable price. Now, I just happened to come across it at Ollie's Bargain Outlet for $5.99, so it was really a steal for me. But even if you end up getting it at cover price, it's well worth your investment. It is recommended for ages 14 and up. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Now, there are some other things I'll show you here in a minute. Before we go, here's the book, as you can see. Pretty thick book. Oops, they're that way. Again, this is the first volume. It collects the first 11 issues. I'm not so sure I agree with some of his stuff. Pretty cool looking scene here. He's got a motorcycle that shoots rockets. It's fun to look at, but I kind of wish sometimes that people would think about how these things work. If you ride a motorcycle and now you get a rocket that's propulsion is directly in direct opposition of the direction you're going. It's like hitting, it's like putting a braking force against the momentum of your motorcycle. It's not going to launch out the front. What's going to happen is your whole front end is going to go like a front wheelie, and then your missile's going to go straight to the ground and blow you up. But it's fun to think about some of that stuff and how it works in real life. But that's the cover for Teen Titans Annual 2 from '83, and this, of course, is a George Perez illustration. And this character, of course, was created by Marv Wolfman with George Perez, since he appeared in the Titans. Very well done. We're going to go ahead and skip through the majority of the Titans issue, so I can go ahead and cut over to the first issue of the actual long-going series. This is Keith Pollard and Dick Giordano inks. The bad guy takes off after being convicted, which he would never get out of the courtroom. But he escapes the court somehow. But it's funny, how he does. And there he is with his awesome looking camper van that just happens to have the V logo on it. Yeah, it's extra long, by the way. Um, I want to know what model RV this is, actually. If anybody recognizes that model RV. Uh, I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible. I just don't remember seeing one specifically of that design before. And I've done a lot of RV looking, shopping over the years. My father was always into getting me an RV for the family, and of course we never needed anything quite that large. But so maybe that's why I never saw anything quite that large. But I just don't remember seeing that design. It's cool though. Again, here's his motorcycle again. As you can see, there's 3 missiles and machine gun turret. That's on each side of the motorcycle. I do wonder why they colored it red when he's all black, but little things like that are kind of interesting. Oh, guys, I gotta show you. They kind of copied it off of Captain America there from the Red Brown movies. Out the back of the camper, he's flying out, wheelie on his motorcycle at the back. We know where that came from. But yeah, it's a fun book to look at, though, and it is a series of its time. There's some more art here by Keith. This time it's Pablo Marcos. This is the issue that he thinks this guy with the beard is the one who raped the nun. He didn't, and like I said, when he realizes that he did the wrong thing. But overall, 4 out of 5 stars. Relatively enjoyable book for what I paid for it, and I think it still would be if I paid the full price. So tomorrow's book is going to be After the Fall. That'll be at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. We will see you then. Here's the book, After Fall. And we'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. for that. And then, on top of that, we also have tomorrow at 8 p.m. we have Movie Talk, where we'll be talking about a trio of science fiction films, Tenet, Gemini Man, and Prospect. And also tomorrow in the afternoon, scheduled to be decided, depends on how long it takes to do the review on After the Fall, we'll have a live draw where I do at least part of the inks, if not the whole inks, for this Cthulhu illustration. So tomorrow will be a very busy day. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and have a good weekend.